Okay, so earlier today, I was presenting to the entire chief legal office and in-house legal function at Ferring Pharmaceutical, a global pharmaceuticals company, and was walking through a bunch of things: an introduction to generative AI and sort of the merits and how to use it responsibly, how not to misuse it. And I provide a bunch of actual use cases, yes, actual use cases, examples, both on the business side and on the practice side. But here's the thing, and I wanted to share this with all of you. One of the most significant portions of when I'm doing these education sessions, training session, talk, whatever you want to call them, is this part. And I think this resonates because it becomes so intuitive and so real and so accessible for most people. And I wanted to walk you through this. So, part of what I have done in my training is introduce this concept of sidekicks or personas. And this is really how we should be thinking about using text based generative AI, whether it's OpenAI, a proprietary system, Bing Chat, or something else. Using these personas really helps unlock in the user a sensible and responsible way to use these. And we won't forget that these aren't oracles of fact or truth. They're meant to be thinking tools for us. And so, running through here really quickly, one of the personas is intern assistant and coach mentor, and then a muse creative. I'm going to give you an example of sort of the coach mentor, and this is where you just need someone who might be a little bit more experienced than you, or you haven't dealt with something in a long time, and that's sort of the instance here. I've just been engaged by a large global law firm to do some high level advising work for them. And I've done this throughout my career. It's been a year or two since I've done something like this because I've been teaching at a law school full time. And I'm not right now. I will be soon, though, so stay tuned on that. But I have been engaged, and so I needed to take all of these conversations and email threads and all that and convert that into a very easy to understand statement of work to sort of advance and formalize this. Now, yes, I could just basically start from scratch or pull up an old SOW and start to manipulate it, but it's not going to have the context. Not all engagements are the same. I mean, yeah, we may structure them from a fee or timetable perspective, but the actual responsibilities, accountabilities, assumptions, and all that are highly dependent on context and the organization you're working with. So I walked through this today with the legal team, and this by far got the most reactions from people in a very positive way. So I wanted to share this with you. So basically, this is the prompt here. Let me close my window there so we get a little bit more. This is basically a fractional C-suite leader engagement. I will be embedded within the organization on a multi-year engagement versus sort of a arm's length management consultant, fly in, fly out sort of thing. But this is not an employee either. So kind of a new concept. Not new, it's been around for a long time, but for this client and for legal in general, this is not a concept that's used. So, okay, I'm priming GPT-4 here, right? Just saying, okay, draft a formal agreement on what a fractional C-suite leader is. This is getting tuning, basically micro tuning in this chat session, GPT, to be like, okay, we're going to talk about fractional C-suite sort of arrangement. So it gives me this. I don't really care about this, to be honest with you, but it's a good way to prime the context window. So now it knows. Okay, so here I then say, okay, now using this information below, please update the above agreement template that you just gave me with the relevant and specific information. Now, I've anonymized all of this. I've taken all the client information out except for me. This is literally me copying and pasting from multiple email threads. Just think about the time it would take you to open up all those windows, reference them, pull things out, and start constructing an SOW from scratch or plugging it in to one of your previous SOWs. Yes, you could do it, but it's going to take a lot of time. Why do that? So here it is. I mean, look at how much information I put in here, basically dumped into here. And voila, it starts structuring the agreement. Okay. Now, is this the final agreement? No, not even close to what the final agreement is. But this is a really concise bulleted of the sections and key parts that I might want to include. Sounds good. Okay. Now, I wanted to sort of embed in here a broader description of what a fractional role is and how it behaves, because again, a relatively new concept in the legal realm and for this client. So it certainly did. It sort of broke out how I was shaping this and talking about this in all the email threads, and it did. Okay, so I said, how might the roles and responsibilities be described for a fractional embedded strategic advisor, right? And so it goes into describing all this. Now, again, this, I did not just cut and paste this and plop this into an SOW. This is start just building my content library, if you will, my ideal library for how to ultimately structure this SOW. Okay, and now I sort of go on and I ask it that instead of a list format here, give me a more of a narrative and change the tone and all that, and it does that, so on and so forth. Then basically what I did is said, okay, list some assumptions and dependencies and constraints with an engagement like this as well, because you want to include those. And it didn't initially in the template SOW. All right, so I just continue to iterate on this. Now, I ultimately took different parts of this and put and constructed a statement of work and an MSA, quite honestly, for this engagement. And I probably saved, if that work, if I was sort of starting from scratch, that easily would have taken me probably, all said and done, staring at a blank page, just pressing send on the draft, so reviewing for editing, line editing, all that kind of stuff, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, right? Because a lot of thinking has to go into structuring these things. All told, I was less than 2 hours in doing it this way. So you could say, well, okay, I might have saved 50% of my time or none. That being said, this tool not only saves time, it also does a lot of the thinking for me. So I'm not sitting here going, okay, what am I forgetting? What am I not including? Or how do I need to phrase that? Okay, this section doesn't really fit. How do I sort of bridge these two sections together? I simply use this tool to do that, to just give me sort of the architecture, if you will, for how to phrase things, tone, and all that. This is what unlocks serious productivity in anyone's daily life. So when people are out there saying, I need a definitive use case for how a legal team could use this, okay, they're definitely out there and I have many, but I think what's more powerful are these personal micro productivity unlocks like this. This saved me an immense amount of time, boosted my performance and confidence, and I was able to really strike an SOW and MSA that I fervently believe would be better than what I had chosen to do on my own. I have experience doing them. This just allows me to elaborate, extend, think, test different ideas. That's the power of it. Hopefully this resonates with you and you start to see how to use these tools in a more intuitive and iterative fashion. All right.